Welcome to the Hookup on Music with your host, Tony Bird.
Hello, everybody, and we are back for episode 128. Thank you for joining me today. Whenever you are listening, whatever day of the week, whatever day ends in Y, I do appreciate it. And we got a lot of good stuff to get to tonight. Last week's show was really, really great. Really glad Brian was able to stop by. We talked a lot of goodies. Go back and check that show out. That was really, really fun. But let's see what we got today. We got a lot of cool stuff. If you haven't, we're going to dig a little bit deeper on it on a future episode. But go back and check out the brand new Devo documentary that is taking place on Netflix. Good stuff. A lot of deep conversations on a really awesome band. So do me a favor and do that. What have you been listening to out there? That's always an important question. New, old, from the beginning of musical time all the way till yesterday. What is it? And please share it with us, because we would appreciate it, because we love talking music and we love just hearing what you're listening to. So let's get the show started with our first set of news, which unfortunately dropped a couple weeks ago, and it's been one that's been tough to swallow, considering that we've been digging deep on this band's catalog recently here on the Hookup on Music. They've come a little later to us, but sadly, Brent Hinds, the guitar player and sometimes singer for the band Mastodon, sadly passed away in a motorcycle accident. Shocking. Very, very shocking, in so many ways, especially considering when you are digging into a band, you don't expect to have a type of what's called darkness linger over so quickly. And unfortunately, motorcycle accidents are something that has happened in music before. A couple members of the Allman Brothers band, sadly, passed away on motorcycles. But to be more important, he just looked really cool. I always just thought he, before I even listened to the band, thought that he was somebody who looked like he can bring some really awesome music, which he did, to Mastodon. Sadly, which we had talked about on the show, he had left the band, um, which was just crazy, because he had been part of it since the beginning. But, that's kinda how this musical thing has been going recently. A lot of passings, and, in this case, it's just shocking, because you wake up or you're working or wherever you are and you see news of a band that you listen to quite a bit. I know there are a lot of fans of Mastodon out there, which is, always awesome to hear, because of the, just the groundbreaking, music in which they play. But he was still touring, with a little bit of a solo thing going on and some other things. He was always playing music, which was cool. And he was also, I guess, supposedly involved with getting something together with Bam Margera of the Jackass crew. Kind of interesting to hear what that would have sounded like. A lot of people stepped up to honor this great musician's passing. Everybody from Zach Wild and Scott Ian, to Alex Skolnick. Really just crazy how it works. You got guys from Testament reaching out to you. You got guys who just unfortunately just lost Ozzy, Zach Wild, and if you're friends, just crazy. And you say to yourself, did the band Mastodon, after this, didn't seem like a great parting, did they say something? Of course they did. Because when you have a 25-year relationship that is filled with some ups and downs, what are you going to do? You got to speak out. You got to say something. And honestly, it's just really, really sad in so many ways. Just the unfortunateness of it, you know what I mean? Because the band itself had lots of triumphs and milestones, and definitely now with a new album coming out. I wonder if they'll rewrite some songs or have some new ones because supposedly they were recording an album, and so quickly when someone passes away like this, you say, now the reunion will never happen. Uh, there is this left of uneasiness. I'm sure the band itself, whenever members pass, sometimes it's hard to swallow, especially if the last time you've seen each other wasn't the best. So, unfortunately, a great guitar player that is lost. He also played some banjo, which I thought was pretty cool. He was a big fan of different type of music. Getting involved with listening to Neurosis and Melvins is kind of what got him going. But he definitely was a force, you know what I mean? A force to be reckoned with. And to be fair, he had a really kind of interesting singing voice, which I thought was cool always. But again, if you have not, please go back and listen to some of that Mastodon and in honoring of the great Brent Hinds. Rest in peace, my man. Um, you know, we'll always listen and we'll always jam. Going forward, let's check out on some new releases. Oh, they are back. And you're saying, who are they? They happen just to be the Deftones. And they are just back with a brand new album, which honestly, it's really good. We think we kind of mentioned some of it before here on the show. We're gonna go a little bit deeper in it right now. Private Music is the name of the new album, and a real killer cover. White snakes, red eyes, green backgrounds, kind of all cool juxtaposition of coloring. Um, but you say to yourself, is it any good? I say, yes, it is. It is really good. And it is the band's first album since 2020's Ohms, which I thought was pretty good too. Deftones put out quality music. Let's just get started right there. On this album, though, it is 42 minutes and 22 seconds, which is a real quick um, get in, get out, let's rock, let's see what's up, let's keep the train moving, which we always like, but we also like to take it slow too, which it's okay. We like a little bit of everything. Um, I'm getting started with My Mind is a Mountain, just as a real heavy tour de force. Um, Locked Club, you know what I mean? Deftones go always good with a 1-2 punch, going all the way back to Adrenaline, Around the Fur, White Pony. I mean, these albums are great. This album is no different. Locked Club, like I said, really good. What I liked about 3, I don't know how you pronounce this, ECDY Cis Ixidus. They got this cool, I don't know if it's a keyboard or if it's like a sample, but boy, is it cool. Infinite Source, that's classic Deftones right there. A Souvenir, 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Awesome. Um, what's cool about this album is the back half of the album starts to really pick up. You know, I think about it, you all the time, Milk of Madonna. That song is really cool. That song was recorded in California. The producer on this is Nick Recklesons. You may be not familiar with him, but he has produced a lot of different things. He was actually engineered a track by the Foo Fighters, A320 from Godzilla the album. If you have not checked out that one in a long time, that is a deep cut. But he's worked with so many different bands, although Korn, Rush, the previously mentioned Mastodon. Um, really great little producer in a lot of ways. So definitely check out his production on this album, and you're probably going to be uh, not not disappointed in any shape or form. But again, it is Milk of Madonna is reference, a spiritual and surrealist imagery reference, um, which is a metaphor for divine nourishment or spiritual fervor. Um, to be fair, I think you're not going to be disappointed if you are a fan of the Deftones on this one. It's really, really good. Check it out. You're looking for something a little bit more in the laid back variety, something with some really awesome vocals. We've talked about Lord Huron recently on here, but we've been digging deeper into this Cosmic Selector album. Um, Definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? Amazing. I think it's definitely really, really good. Um, Loaded with tracks like Looking Back, Watch Me Go, Fire Eternal, um, Who Laughs Last, but just really, really, really overall a great sounding record, especially if you're just kind of wanting to sit around and listen and kind of see what is up and what is happening and what is going on, if that makes any sense. It's been out now a couple months. Deftones has been out since August 20th. So, I mean, these are ones that have just honestly been more just played. A Bag of Bones is a really good track off the new Lord Huron. Um, they're a band that could kind of get loud a little bit and then kind of like slow it down, which is always really kind of cool. But you're always looking for that that overall vibe of relaxation, especially probably after handling some of the news, like the news we've talked about earlier. But definitely worth it and worth your time to go and check out. We got other stuff that is coming out that just is just dropping. Like even as we have put the show together, Tame Impala, they've got a new album that will be currently dropping soon. I don't know if you are a fan of that band, but they are really, really creative. Um, I always like talking about bands and saying, oh man, they are really, really creative, or they are really, really this. When Kevin Parker is the main member of the band, um, but to be fair, Dominic Simper, he's also been part of the band for a long, long time, as is Jay Watson. The thing about Tame Impala is they are one of a lot, and Deadbeat is the name of the brand new album, which should be very interesting when that is released. Interesting album. They have singles out already, End of Summer and Loser. This will be dropping October 17th, so not too far away. But interesting that the Slow Rush, the past album, came out about 5 years ago too, just like the Deftones. So seems to be the year of 5 songs coming. When this releases, I'm sure we will dig even deeper into it. But really, really, really good stuff. Also really, 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 really good. Spoon dropping new music. Big fan of Spoon here. Dig into this new album when it comes out. Always digging into more of Spoon. But their last album, Lucifer on the Sofa, was really, really good. But they uh they have what I like to call a very, very interestingly awesome sound. And Guess I'm Falling in Love is the track that I listened to, and it was really, really good. They also got Chateau Blues is another new one, and I'm sure they're working on new stuff. Please, please, please check out all this new music and let us know what you are listening to out there. Um, it's always a good time talking new music. Always really, really good. Let's talk a little bit of old music here, really quick. A little bit of old music and our artist of the week. You know, it's not too often that a band is just named after blood. And with Halloween around the corner, why not get a little started with a little? We're gonna slowly start peeking in behind the curtain of some really awesome Halloween music. But tonight, let's talk about an awesome Halloween band. The great metal band, Typo Negative. Great. Some people might say they were great, they were good, they weren't good, they were pretty good. Whatever you want to call Typo Negative. A band from Brooklyn, New York, formed in 1989. What's crazy is they were formed in '89, and I got to see them in 1997 at the Ozfest. They have really I'll tell you one thing about this band before we get started on all their great original music is they could put out some awesome covers. You know what I mean? Their cover of Black Sabbath, oh man, that rules. Their cover of Summer Breeze, we've talked about that on here. I Know What You Did Last Summer, kicking that movie off. That's amazing. Cinnamon Girl. I mean, they do some really good stuff. Um, they have a nickname, which is really interesting. You know, you have the Beatles had the Fab Four. They were nicknamed the Drab Four. Um, some people call them gothic metal. Some people call them doom metal. There's a lot of different titles you can call them. Original, you can definitely call them that. Um, Peter Steele, Kenny Hickey, Josh Silver, um, and Johnny Kelly, their final drummer in the last 3 albums, were, definitely a crew to be reckoned with. Albums like Bloody Kisses, went gold. Went platinum, and October Rust went gold. Um, these albums and these bands just definitely, changed, if you listen to them. Um Roadrunner Records, definitely was a huge, record company that got me interested in so many different bands, like, Typo Negative. You know, Typo Negative, had a sound that was different than the other bands back in that late mid-90s, late '90s. They didn't sound like Pantera or Slayer or Metallica or Megadeth. Um, his voice sounded like something out of like a crypt, which in a way, when you look back at it, it's kind of cool. In so many different ways. Um, they they were really, if you were a fan of that Black Sabbath, like the song Black Sabbath sound, they pretty much made that um all over what they were doing. Um, you know, just like I said too, some very interesting, album titles, you know. Before Bloody Kisses, which was interesting enough, they had The Origin of the Feces, Slow, Deep, and Hard. Some of the later ones was Life Is Killing Me, Dead Again, World Coming Down. Not what you wanna listen to if you're just a little, in the dumps, down in the dumps, but, you know, you start to dig into albums like Bloody Kisses. And when it sold that many copies, you know what I mean? You say, "Oh, okay, well, let's dig a little deeper." They had a unique style, which, had a soundscape interludes, which were honestly, interestingly, the use of lots and lots of samples, which, you don't think for a band that they call doom metal using a lot of samples, but the lyrics were often dry and filled with satirical humor, um, which you're thinking that like these guys really took seriously. A lot of people say that lead singer Pete Steele actually had a very wicked sense of humor. Um, and you may say, you know, is Typo Negative making music anymore? No, sadly, they are not. Sadly, in 2010, Peter Steele passed away. So, unfortunately, in that regard, you know, when you lose your lead singer and bass player all in one, and he the leader of the band, it is a little tougher to move on and you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Do what you kind of are wanting to do in so many different ways. But they definitely really had just a overall vibe. Let's just go with that. Um, they have a really cool organ sound, which makes it kind of spooky in a way. You know, that crypt keeper organ that is just haunting in the background that just keeps the vibes going into the direction in which you want vibes to be going when you are a band like Typo Negative. So, digging deeper though, you know, after following up that with a album like October Rust, um, this was actually a big release, and you say back to the Deftones album, 42 minutes. This album was 72 minutes and 49 seconds long, with a more interesting album titles like "Love You to Death" and "My Girlfriend's Girlfriend," and the mentioning cover of "Cinnamon Girl." Um, just really, really crazy. Lots of interludes on this one too, but lots of long songs. One that we are in the depths here as Halloween continues of digging into. What's interesting on this album and the addition of Johnny Kelly on drums was that they decided to go with a drum machine on this album and the two following albums. It wasn't until the final Typo Negative album that they decided to go back to that live drum sound. Um, what's a song recently we've been digging into more by them? A little track called Anesthesia, which, if you're looking for something that has got a really cool bass sound and you can dig a little bit deeper into his lyrics, um, that is definitely one to do. I think is very interesting, to be honest with you. Um, but to be fair, um, it's always interesting when we're talking awesome music here at the Hookup. So if you've ever listened to Typo Negative, or what are some of your favorite songs, let us know. Would love to hear them. Um, because we're gonna go from them because it's kind of like a double artist of the week we got going here. Been digging more into a really cool band with a really awesome what's the word to band title, um, the Moody Blues. Moody Blues. You may say to yourself, "You're going from Typo Negative to the Moody Blues?" Yes, because that's what brings me out of the dark gothic crypt of funk into maybe some positive light. A lot of songs by the Moody Blues if you are a fan of music or you've just turned on any radio. I remember getting Nights in White Satin, the album Days of Future Past. What a great album that one was. But definitely loaded. What else is on Days of Future Past? You might have heard just the track Tuesday Afternoon. That's a song that definitely would have been, I think, just an awesome cover by Typo Negative. That'd be a cool episode to do sometime later down in the line. Songs that other bands could have done that would have sounded incredible. Um, you just don't know what could have been if a band doesn't try it out. I think about that all the time. Sometimes I think of Metallica doing some Thin Lizzy that would just sound really awesome. But other tracks that they have that just slay in the department of singles for the Moody Blues. Question, The Story in Your Eyes. I'm just a singer in a rock and roll band. That song is awesome. And then they were got a new keyboarder, Patrick Moraz from Yes, joined them, and then they had knocked out some more. Your Wildest Dreams, Gemini Dream, and the main song that brings us to what we are talking about tonight, The Voice. I really like this song. Really, really, the bass, honestly, is what I really, really like. Also really like a guitar solo played on a Gibson ES-335, which you can hear it as it plays. But it's a guitar song, is what's said by Justin Hayward, who wrote it. A rhythm guitar song. It was one of the first things I ever did with a click track at home. Um, but it was cool though. It was really cool. And definitely has a vibe. So if you have not listened to The Voice, um, the synthesizer though sounds really, really, really cool. Um, but it also has a little bit of lyrics about writer's block, and don't get that though when you're listening to it. It makes you feel like you're going on some kind of deep journey. But the rhythm though is definitely awesome. It's written in this key of E minor, which I thought was interesting. The reception on the song um, was definitely said as a well-crafted song with driving rhythms. So check that one out by the Moody Blues. Um, sad that the Moody Blues they don't really they haven't done anything since 2018. I think they're kind of done and they're over with. but you can always go back and dig into their albums. They got some really awesome album titles too. In Search of the Lost Chord, On a Threshold of a Dream, To Our Children's Children, A Question of Balance, Every Good Boy Deserves Favor, Seventh Sojourn. Um, definitely awesome progressive band. Um, just pushing the limits in a time period where maybe sometimes didn't get pushed enough. Are they called art rock? Yeah. The progressive? Yeah. Psychedelic sometimes? Yeah. Some of these albums I mentioned have storylines that are just intertwiving intertwiving. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but what I will say is check out some Moody Blues because they are awesome. um I don't know if you made it out to that Nine Inch Nails show that was at the United Center, but boy, it was cool. And you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna talk about it. You know what? Trent Reznor, I give this guy crazy, but he's doing movies now, making big soundtracks. He's got the Tron soundtrack out. If you haven't heard the new track off of that, might be worth your time. But his touring schedule, he put some really good shows on this past year, and they made it into the United Center in Chicago for 2 shows. Um, awesome stuff, playing a lot of good songs. Um, a visual stunnery that, I thought was really, really cool and really, really great in its own way. But, check, out some of these videos that if on YouTube, if you're not able to make it out to the shows, because you can see some really really cool stuff the band is doing. They're doing little intimate sections where they're playing songs that are just really what's the word I'm looking for, and things you're not going to usually hear in the Nine Inch Nails in the Nine Inch Nails setting, really, to be frankly honest with you. Um but it's also crazy because in a way, how often does Nine Inch Nails tour? Are they going to tour again soon? Um but the Fragile, a piano version straight of the Fragile, that was really cool to hear on the United Center stop, and I'm pretty sure they play kind of the same set list a lot of ways that they go, but, playing songs like The Perfect Drug live, that's really cool. Um, and you say to yourself, "Well, do they play anything different if you went the night before?" Yeah, they played I'm Afraid of Americans, before. Um which is kinda cool too. So you kind of, and instead of playing, The Fragile, they played Piggy. Nothing Can Stop Me Now. Great little show. Um, like I said, you never know, they may come back again. You're gonna have to check them out. They're really that good, to see live. Um, but we're kinda gonna wrap up tonight on a little bit of a, well, first, we've talked on the last show with Brian that we're gonna reach soon do artists who were gone too quickly, too soon. I'm sure this gentleman is going to be one of those men who didn't release too many albums and was gone at the age of 26. Sad stuff because Nick Drake is he's a force to be reckoned with his songwriting. Only 3 albums though. Fire Leaves Left, Brighter Later, and Pink Moon. Pink Moon is something that before we get to that episode, if you have any time, I would just dig into this because the vocal melodies and the slight piano tracks are just really, really good. And what's also really, really good is just the ability that I was able to listen to this gentleman when he was what's the word I'm looking for, on some of Wes Anderson's soundtracks, which that's what's cool about soundtracks. We talk about them all the time on At the Show, um, and that's why I like talking music because even listening to a soundtrack could get you to the point where you're digging into such a prolific artist like Nick Drake, who unfortunately didn't get to put out the music that somebody really should have in his department. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, losing someone really, really soon, like earlier's Brent Hinds, or somebody like Nick Drake, could just be really, really sad because again, you can't think of, you know, really what could have been. But that episode's going to be great when we talk about it. Just like tonight's episode was really, really great, or today's episode, or whenever you want to say that you're listening to it, super early in the morning. Whenever it happened, it is. I really, really appreciate you just listening and tuning in. Please go back and listen to the At the Show's 100th episode. It was a really good episode. A lot of people came in. We talked music in there too. Music in the soundtracks of Little Big League. Music. Just a question of which soundtrack's better, Forrest Gump or Pulp Fiction. It was really good time to dig into some awesome just some awesome things with some awesome people, and definitely check that out. Check out everything else that's going on. The SadisticPenguinStudios.com YouTube channel. We got cool shows about James Bond and more cool stuff about movies done by my awesome partner Yemper. Also awesome on the channel, doing great work is Cotton and Adam, and Brian has the amazing It's Getting Drafty, which I believe coming up on this Tuesday, the 16th, I'm going to be on there. We're going to be picking our greatest 80s albums. But after all of that, I just want to say again, thank you so much. This was a great 128th episode. Can't believe I'm saying that out loud. And we definitely will be talking soon. And I want everyone out there to just have a good week and take care. I'm Tony. This is 128th Hookup on Music episode. We appreciate you listening. Everybody, have a great week. And glad football's.
Thank you for listening. Please look out for the audio version wherever you jam.